Hey boys and girls, welcome to day 1 of distance learning. This is Miss Montague here. I miss you guys. So this week we are going to focus in on figurative language. Remember, figurative language is something that writers use so that they're more effective, persuasive, and impactful. Okay, so figurative language devices go beyond the literal meaning of words. So it's a way to make our writing more persuasive, have more of an impact. Okay, and it's going to go beyond just literally meaning what it says. So today we are going to start off with 3 different figurative language pieces. I think the easiest way for you guys to do this is to follow along with me in this video. And then when I tell you to pause it, go back to your OneNote and go ahead and fill out the guided notes that are in your OneNote, and then come back to the video and we'll keep going. Okay, so today we're going to talk about 3 different figurative languages devices. So here we go. Okay, the first one we're going to talk about is a simile. A simile is a comparison of 2 things using the words like or as. Okay, so it's going to compare 2 things and it's going to use the words like or as. For example, she was as angry as a hornet defending its hive. So in this case, we're comparing she, the girl, to the hornet, and we're using the word as. So that makes it a simile. One thing I want to point out that's kind of an important thing to notice is that a simile has to compare 2 things. So just because I use the word like or as in a sentence does not necessarily make it a simile. For example, if I said Jace likes Pokemon, okay, I use the word like in a sentence. However, I am not comparing Jace to Pokemon. I am just stating what he likes. So Jace likes Pokemon would not be a simile. A simile has to compare 2 things. So let's look at some examples and see if we can find the simile. So which of the following is a simile? Okay, guys, if you'll go ahead and pause the video, go to your guided notes in your OneNote tab, find which one you think is the example of a simile, and then come back and we'll go over the answers together. Okay, let's look at it. Which of the following is a simile? A, my dog is a pig when he eats. Okay, so in this case, we are comparing your dog to a pig. However, you are not using the words like or as. So A is not a simile, it is a metaphor, which we will talk about next. Let's look at B. My dog eats like a pig. In this case, you're comparing your dog to a pig, and in this time you have the word like. So you should have circled B. B is showing a simile. Let's look at C. My dog devours donuts. You might remember this one, boys and girls. In this case, we are repeating the D sound throughout this sentence. So C is an example of alliteration, which we will talk about tomorrow. Let's look at D. My dog eats a ton of food each day. In this case, the dog doesn't actually eat a ton of food. This just simply means the dog eats a lot of food each day. This is actually an example of a hyperbole, which is an exaggeration. Okay, the next part of speech we are going to talk about, or the next figurative language device we are going to talk about, is a metaphor. A metaphor is a direct comparison of 2 things, and it doesn't use the words like or as. So when you have a metaphor, you are actually just saying the person is whatever you are comparing them to. For example, she is a bear when she wakes up in the morning. In this case, you're comparing this girl to a bear, but you are simply stating that she is a bear. You are not saying she is like a bear. So this is an example of a metaphor. When they say she is a bear when she wakes up in the morning, you are simply saying that she is grouchy when she gets up in the morning. So let's look at some examples to find the metaphor. Okay, this is a time where you can go ahead and pause the video and choose the correct metaphor. Okay, boys and girls, welcome back. Let's look at these answer choices and see if you pick the correct metaphor. A says, my parents think my little sister is an angel. In this case, you are comparing the sister to an angel, and you are not using the words like or as. So if you said the metaphor was A, you were correct. B, I think my sister is as devious as a fox. This is one we just talked about. You're comparing your sister to a fox, and this time you use the word as. So this would be an example of a metaphor. Let's look at C. She has my parents snowballed. Okay, when you say someone is snowballed, that is an example of an idiom, which we will talk about tomorrow. And finally, my silly sister Sally is 6. In this case, we are repeating the S sound again and again in this sentence, which means this is an example of alliteration. The last figurative language device we're going to talk about today is an onomatopoeia. An onomatopoeia is a word that sounds like the sound it names. I remember it because onomatopoeia has a lot of sounds in it. It is a long word. So therefore, an onomatopoeia is dealing with sound words. Here's an example. The kettle began to screech when the water started to boil. In this case, the word screech kind of sounds like the sound that a kettle would make when the water starts to boil. So screech is an example of an onomatopoeia. Some other examples of onomatopoeia would be things like ring, ring, ring. When you say ring, it kind of sounds like the sound a phone makes when it rings. Or pop kind of sounds like the sound a balloon makes when you pop it. Remember, onomatopoeia are sound words. So let's see if we can find the onomatopoeia in the following sentences. A, when we awoke, a storm greeted us. B, the thunder sounded like a freight train barreling toward us. C, thunder boomed all around us. Or D, it's raining cats and dogs outside. Okay, boys and girls, go ahead and pause this video, go back to your OneNote tab, circle the correct answer, and then come back and see if you got it correct. Okay, let's go ahead and look at these choices. A, when we awoke, a storm greeted us. Storms can't really greet us. That's something only people can do. So A is actually an example of personification, which we will discuss tomorrow. B, the thunder sounded like a freight train barreling toward us. If you said that was an example of a simile, that is correct. You're comparing the thunder to a freight train using the word like. Thunder boomed all around us. In this case, we have an example of an onomatopoeia. The word boomed kind of sounds like thunder when it rains. Or how about D? It's raining cats and dogs outside. It's raining cats and dogs outside is a common saying that does not mean cats and dogs are falling from the sky. That makes it an idiom, which we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, that's it for today. I will see you guys again tomorrow.